Yo, what's up, everybody? It is a new Call of Duty season, and you know what that means. The Quick Fix boys are back at it yet again. We have a lot of topics that we want to cover with you, and we kind of wanted to bring some stuff to, of course, the challengers and the greater Call of Duty scene. If this is your first time seeing us, I'm Dandro. That's one of my best friends, Enigma. Enigma Black Ops 7 is here, and it is a doozy. I know we've both been having a ton of fun with it.
There's not enough hours in the day, dude. There's not enough hours to spend on this game. It's actually phenomenal. God bless Treyarch. God bless Matt Scrons. I feel like I've just come off playing it for 4 hours because I had to go and pick my son up from nursery. Could easily drop another 4 without blinking. This game is just fantastic.
No, it's dude. I've been madly addicted. I've been trying to get Singularity done just so I can actually play the game as it should be. That's there, very, very close. But yeah, we have a couple things that we want to talk about with everybody today. We're going to talk about all of the maps that came out with Black Ops 7. Overload is now a new third game mode in competitive Call of Duty. I want to talk a little bit about the schedule for challengers specifically because there's some really fun updates. And speaking of challengers, we do want to talk about maybe a little bit of drama in the community as well. So let's get on into it. All right, let's talk about the maps. We got a ton of brand new maps, and this is, to me, dude, I think one of the things that has me most excited about the Black Ops 7 competitive season is just that this feels like the first year that we've gotten just like almost every single map feels like a banger. Obviously, there's some maps that are more competitive than others, you know, as we've kind of seen, you know, stuff sift through. But it's been nice to see like almost every map was tried to be competitive, and I think was super sick. We'll talk about all of the maps in general in a little bit, but what is one map to you that has really stood out at launch that you're really, really happy and impressed with?
Really tough one because, as you just said, I think there's a lot of great ones. I think we've been blessed. Like, we're feasting right now, let alone the news that's just come out today, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point. But I think for me, one of my favorites right now is Exposure. Big fan of the way that that plays. I'm really confused that it isn't in the hardpoint rotation right now because I'm really enjoying it. But that one for me feels great, but I feel like I can list off quite a lot. I'm curious about where you're going to go because I know you're picking one.
You know what? You know one of my favorites? Cortex, dude. I just love the bang out maps. And I know it's smaller, but it really feels like to me that's like a super fun map to watch because there's like a different spot on the map for no matter what your play style is, right? You can route man can get paid. You can have your dirty OBJ player can just kind of be, you know, either in the hill or try and just be able to get that bomb down if they need to. You know, if you are playing search and destroy, maybe pubs or something like that. But I just, you know, just seeing it like specifically in hardpoint and just watching how mixy it can get, dude, is like so much fun to watch. I am an absolute lover. I was a big fan of the Rage in the Cage back in Vanguard, a little bow cage, and to see that, and Cortex gives me some similar vibes, but not nearly as bad. That's there, so definitely feeling pretty good about Cortex. But like you said, there's so many. Let's go ahead. Let's dive in to talk about you know, some of the maps that we have. Ghost of Hope tweeted this a couple of days ago. This is obviously, maybe by the time you're watching this, already outdated because it feels like in Call of Duty this list changes every single day. You know, that's there, but you can see there all the current kind of running list for Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, Overload. And Nima, I want to kind of talk about it though, because not only do we see these maps, we've also know that there are like 4 other hyper competitive maps kind of lurking in the mist that might also make this list.
Yes, very much. I mean, just looking through it as well, by the way, like we've got 7 listed there for hardpoint. So typically we take 5 for hardpoint just to help the pros and especially the challenger players who've got full-time jobs and stuff understand that they are just having to practice 5 maps. Hopefully then that breeds some sort of rotation through the season, so we're not just doing the same. But like, it's just trying to pick which ones don't go in is difficult. Maybe Forge, because I'm not seeing much of it. I feel like, again, I'm not seeing much Exposure kind of played at the minute, but I like Exposure a hell of a lot. So then I'm like, okay, well, maybe take Cortex out, but you love Cortex. So there's that conversation going on all the time. Like, if I was to try and like tier list these maps, I don't think any of them fall below a B. They all sit somewhere between S and A. So it's phenomenal. And then, yes, as you said, map-wise, we are going to have Fringe is coming back. That's being carried over basically from BO6, which is phenomenal because I feel like we didn't get to enjoy it at all in BO6. Standoff's coming back. Meltdown's coming back. And then we've also got one called Utopia that basically looks very similar to 6-star. So we could have 10 in the rotation at this point and not be disappointed.
Well, also there's people found Gridlock outside of the map as well. There's rumors that Frequency is coming back on in from Black Ops 4, dude. Arsenal, yeah, Arsenal, not Frequency, but yeah, Arsenal I think is coming back. Like, I always got those two mixed up. That was like they always feel the same to me. But
Get them both.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it, man. I mean, I kind of like your idea. I would love to see a rotation, kind of almost like major to major. I feel like that is kind of like one way to kind of keep the game fresh. It does favor teams who can adapt more, and it feels like maybe you get away less with how you've prepared and kind of figured out strats for a certain map, and favors more of the teams who can kind of just out talent you. So maybe that's something that they have to kind of keep in mind. But I wouldn't mind if there's like every maybe major or every so often we drop a map and kind of replace it with one of these other competitive maps there. I'm not saying we need to change the complete map pool that's kind of going on into it, but I do think it would be really cool just to watch sort of that evolution, because we even saw think back to when 6-star dropped, right? Like 6-star and Rio got dropped into the competitive map pool pretty late into the season that was there, and that became a staple for some teams that let them go on a run like that. That's there. And so I do kind of wonder, by just kind of maybe adding a map every so often, do you now create more opportunity for maybe those teams who aren't performing at the very, very top to now have a chance to make some of these series competitive?
Well, I think back to then as well, because like Rio and 6-star came in to fix what was a pretty bad map pool.
Yeah.
Right? Like they went immediately in because they played well. And it was a case of it felt fresh instantly. Yeah. As a viewer, it was kind of like, okay, this is good to watch. I feel like I'm checking into a new part of the season. It doesn't feel like I'm basically still back in Major 1 when we're starting to line up for champs. So yeah, I really like the idea of dropping one map. At most, I'd say 2 out of your 5 sets, which are usually S&D and hardpoint, maybe one of your overloads. And just kind of then, okay, we rotate in one for every set or something. That would be nice, I think. Yeah. I'd really like that. But I come back to the fact that Rio and 6-star, again, they came in to fix a difficult map pool, really. And I think I've spent a lot of the last few years kind of loading into games, playing 8s, and being like, we might be in for a rotation, brother. Whereas this time, I'm like, well, what do you take out? Yeah. All these glorious maps to tell you about that could come in. And then I'm like, right, but which one goes? Den feels like it's one change away from being S tier. Yep. Raid is obviously just a fantastic map. Plays slightly differently in this game, but still great. Colossus has grown on me very quickly. I thought that was going to be awful, but it's actually great and fantastic to watch. I like Exposure. Scar's great. Cortex, you really like. Forge, all right, maybe that's the one out, but we've got to chop 2 off at some point. Anyways, it's just, we're feasting. Yeah. We're feasting. I mean, it's a good problem to have, man, right? Of being able to have all of these maps and then even starting to think about new maps that could get added as well. We'll have to wait and see what goes on through the season, what teams really land on. I know one thing I'm excited for is just not watching, kind of in these past Call of Duties where we load into a series and it's like, all right, you have a hard point, a search and destroy, and then you're about to have the same map for the last 3 of a series. Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna have 3 invasions going on in, right? It's like we're gonna have 3 haciendas that are in every single that it's there. I like seeing variety, and I think maybe like you mentioned, if they cut it down, great. Maybe they do something crazy and have more in, so that way vetoes don't have to become this like immediate auto veto thing. It's gonna force you to have a D map pool. I don't know. Very excited, though, about what these maps can bring towards the competitive season, because I think, like you mentioned, we're eating pretty good with it. With Black Ops 7, we also have a brand new 3rd game mode getting introduced as well. Later Control. Welcome our new Overlord Overload that comes on in. That's going to be my new favorite thing, I think, to say this year casting. Coming on through. A brand new game mode. If you haven't managed to see it somehow, think if Capture the Flag and Uplink had a child, and welcome to Overload that is coming on in. Really cool. Each team for now has 2 spots on the map that you can score, and there's one EMP device that you have to pick on up and bring to the enemy territory to score in their goal. There's been a lot of conversation, Enigma, around Overload on social media. I really want to get kind of your opinions on it. I know we did a cast pretty recently where we had to vamp for a while, and I got to hear this already, but for you've been watching Call of Duty a long time. How do we think Overload is going to play in this competitive season? Because I've kind of been hearing some back and forth where some people absolutely love it and some people think this needs to go. Yeah, that seems to be where we're sitting right now. Yeah. It's very Marmite. You love it or hate it. That might be an incredibly British.
100% was, but I'm going to let you roll with it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Try it out. Google it if you don't know what it is. It tastes peculiar, but yeah, it's a weird one because I think it's performed a lot better early than I thought it would. Yeah. It was great to watch during the Monster 75k, so that was an opportunity for us to really tune in at how these pro teams are going to approach this. I think it's incredibly map dependent. I think some maps it's a little bit too easy to just grab the MP and sprint through and score. I think that it goes from, I think it's good right now. It's certainly better to watch than Control, which felt like after we moved away from 5v5 Black Ops 4 specialists, it felt like once we moved away from that, the game became a bit stale. So
yeah,
I'm enjoying how dynamic it is, but I do think we need some rule changes in there. You mentioned about, for now, we have 2 goals. I like the idea of 1. I don't know how you will balance it against teams spawning close, because we used to do it with capture the flag. So like, we'll find a way, I'm sure, of getting it through. Same with like uplink and stuff back in the day. I think there's a couple of things that you could do as well. Like, overtime's a mess.
Yeah,
they've got to figure out the overtime situation. If you've missed it somehow, don't worry. A lot of the pro players have as well and didn't realize. It all of a sudden changes to sudden death. It basically becomes an S&D round for no reason whatsoever. And also, if you have the EMP, everybody knows where you are. So it's a bit of a problem right now, because you're basically playing S&D a man down. We also had a situation where Envoy died in an overload at the weekend 4 seconds before the timer ran out, but because he hadn't respawned in before the timer ran out, he then didn't come back.
Yeah, that's whack. That is yeah, I think they're still starting to figure out a lot of things. I think that 75k was a good chance for us to kind of get our first taste of it, right? Everybody's going hard, everybody's trying to play at the most competitive level that's there. And I think just with the communication we've seen from Treyarch, I feel pretty confident about it. Maybe this is copium massively, but I feel pretty good that they're going to try and work with the pros to land on something that works. I'm right there with you. I think I saw Shotzi had a clip where he was watching Skies, and Skies it went into that overtime, and he's like completely overheat challenging somebody, and he's taken down, and Skies is like, what are you doing? Like, it was 4v3, you had man advantage, and it just kind of felt like they blacked out, and all of a sudden it was the other team won, and it was like, okay, like, you know, there needs to be some things there. But you know, I kind of was thinking with Control, I was like, what were the exciting moments to watch in Control? And to me, it always felt like the only exciting moments when I was watching Control was if you had a very defensively, you know, sided map that then somebody won an offense on, and then if it went to round 3 and you got down to minimal lives, right? And you had that tension of like, oh, they only have 4 lives left, like you're playing S&D now, and it feels like they tried to artificially copy that with Overload, and I just don't think we need it, right? I think the fact of where the EMP is sitting on either side of the map, and kind of the score thing going on, like, already kind of creates those levels of tension.
I agree. I like the call there around like trying to replicate that. I think that, yeah, for me, it's got to become the problem you can't have though as well. On the flip side, because of broadcasts and stadiums and everything else, is an unlimited timer. Everyone keeps saying golden goal. Yes, I think that the next score should win 100%. I think that the problem is you do have to at some point draw it to a close. I don't know what that is, but there's going to have to be something. Is it the most kills? Is it, I don't, maybe that then rewards offensive teams, which we always like in traditional sports and esports and stuff. I don't know, but you got to think of something here that changes things up. I think before we even get to overtime, I think there's a couple of things you could change up as well. I think reduce the round timer, first of all, like make it so that, because at the minute it's like 3 minutes or something that you have. Make it 1 minute, but the timer pauses if you grab the device. Because what we're seeing is teams take a big lead, grab the device and back off. Right? Well, you got to now come and wrestle it from us. So then there also ends up the situation, which was a problem with domination back in the day, where mathematically it's impossible. So it's like, why are we still playing then? Like, stuff like that you fix. And also, if you have the device, it should give you one last opportunity to try and score. Like, that's those things, those last second dives for the cap are huge. So I'd love to see a couple of those. I think one last one that I saw that would be great, if the EMP carrier had to run a pistol.
I love that. I think that's so sick. Yeah, I'm right there with it, because I think we even saw it pretty recently. Like Den, I think, is a good map, you know, that it kind of showcases that, because you have that outside broken side where it's just like, because the bomb carrier can use their weapon, it's just, hey, the 3 of my teammates are going to flood forward, and as long as we win the trade fight, we get a score. And that's all that happens, because it's only basically unidirectional of how you're going to push through that, right? So I like the idea of having a pistol. It will force you to be a little bit. I also love your idea of, if you are holding the bomb when it goes into overtime, the EMP, if you drop that, it's almost like Rocket League, right? Like if the ball touches the ground, timer's done, right? So it's kind of the same thing where, like, if that EMP gets dropped, if the person carrying it does go down, round ends and you're just there. I think that creates a lot more strategy. So really excited. I think the biggest thing is that of how this is going to evolve very quickly into our competitive, kind of third game mode. I would love if we had maybe an option potentially in the future of overload or control that's there. Okay. I could see that maybe being a thing, right? Pull a little something from Halo, right? Where it's not always the exact same thing every single time, right? Maybe we can start mixing it up a little bit. Maybe I'm getting too crazy. Maybe I'm lost in the sauce a little bit, but I think it's cool, right? I think it's cool that we're trying to innovate. We're bringing something new, and I think where it's going to be really dope to see, how these teams definitely try and bring it in these series this year.
All right, so let's talk then about the season ahead, because I know a lot of people right now are scrambling for that information, whether it be CDL players and fans looking to kind of get themselves to those events, of course, or whether it be your Challenger players looking to, I guess, make sure that they're scheduled. Because Challenger players play for pure passion, baby. There's jobs and everything else to kind of juggle alongside. Now, when it comes to the schedule itself, we're recording this on what? Today's the 24th, so it's the 24th. So everything starts next weekend, so not the coming one, not the end of November. It is going to be the opening weekend for the CDL on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of December, which feels a bit later than usual. I don't know if that is true. But then the Challengers Cup as well is going to be the 6th and the 7th. That's the first one. Then the Challengers Cup the week after, 13th, 14th. Challenger Cup the week after, 20th, 21st. The Elites don't start until January. That's going to be the first weekend of the new year. And then your first Elite season is through Jan, rounding off that month with the CDL Major 1 in Dallas. So yeah, a hell of a lot of COD about to hit us very, very quickly. Split a little bit by the Christmas break, but we're going to be busy, brother.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think the schedule that we have makes a lot of sense. I think kind of we've seen it kind of formalized into something a little bit more consistent that's there. But the thing that has me, man, is that we now have Challenger Opens at every single Call of Duty League major. I know everybody is rejoicing. It kind of felt like, in the past, not felt like, it was completely up to the team hosting the major, whether they were going to have a Challenger Open there or not, which does require extra resources and planning from the team that's hosting it. So now that sort of the league is taking it over, this to me feels like the great first step that we've kind of been asking for, where it's like, hey, can CDL kind of care about challengers? And this is a great way, making sure that every single major has an opportunity for you to play it. And I think, one thing that you and I are definitely going to be aligned with is that I think any year to do it was this year, given that we have not one, but two different European majors, right? That to me is huge, because that's an opportunity for that European Call of Duty League, region to actually get some love, because there's going to be a ton of challenger teams who don't want to fly to Paris, who don't want to fly to Birmingham, right? And it's not because of the location, but it's just because they don't want they don't want to travel to it, right? So that now I'm wondering, could that be an opening for these EU teams to finally get some light shown on them? Is this the year that we see like a new up and coming EU challengers player who might get some looks on them?
I sure hope so, because there's a couple of things that kind of like factor into this that I don't think enough people recognize.
Sure.
We've kind of joked about it in the past, where it's like challengers players don't make much in the way of money. Like, they are very much so like running by this on passion and the hopes of making it to the league. It is not cheap to get your squad out to America, let alone doing it 3, 4, maybe more times through the year if you don't get funding. So, it's one of those these days where it's harder to get these amateur organizations in, because we've lacked this kind of bridge between the league and challengers over the last couple of years. So now seeing these opportunities for these teams who, I've seen it last year. It was a couple of players where it was like, I just can't make it, so that's the end of my year. I'm done now. And it's a real shame to see. Whereas this year, it's like, okay, you've got 2 opportunities, not just in the sense of like you've got all these Challengers Opens, but the ability to play in Birmingham, play in Paris, save yourself a hell of a lot of money for these European teams, but play on your hours. You've not just flown out and then going straight into a grueler bracket that is challengers. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful thing. But also for the fans. The fans, opportunity to just rock up and watch some Call of Duty is something that has been lost for so many years. We got Madrid last year. You saw how many people came out and celebrated. God bless my Gentleman's fans. But it's a case of, it changes everything. It's a basically community get together, and we now get that back.
No, I think it's really dope to see, watching everybody be able to come together. And I think, even just watching both challengers and Obviously, you know, the mainstay, you know, events that are going to be happening overseas as well has me super excited. You know, I always love of all, you know, whenever I attend the Call of Duty, you know, majors, I love that on that final day before, you know, the grand finals start for the CDL, that they do on main stage the Challenger finals, right? And I think that's so cool, and I can't wait to see that for the European events as well. I want to see some new names. I want to see some new faces up on that stage when it comes to Sunday, trying to battle it on out, get those experience, like you mentioned, of playing underneath the lights, playing on those setups. I think it's something that we definitely can't overlook. Which, speaking of challengers, we got some drama, spice. I don't know what we want to call it, but it's fun, and I thought we should talk about it. Obviously, the 75K Monster Invitational just happened, and some people in the community not very happy with the you know, non-requirements or non-opportunity taken by some players to not stream their POV. Let's go ahead. I want to pull up the content because it was I love that when we saw this video from Jersey Jerry, obviously from Barstool, one of the owners of Telluride Bush. This has over 4 million views on it, by the way. This is insane. 7.2 thousand likes on it is crazy to see. But yeah, one of them is mine. I'm contributing my part. But if you didn't watch the video, basically, Jersey Jerry, hey, he loves the team. He's got a lot of passion, but he's like, why are we not streaming our POV? Like, basically, that team is owned by a content media powerhouse. Why are you not creating content, but even just throwing up even just the gameplay? I don't even need a face cam. Just the gameplay even. Yep. And we were just sitting here talking. And it's even more so, and why like even Zuma was raging about it on his stream, on his watch party, because this Telluride Bush team went to a map 5 against LA Thieves, a very respectable, very good new team put together, and nobody got to watch it, man. Can we let's get it together. That's all I'm saying. We just need to get it together.
This was such a weird moment for me that I felt like was almost in like some sort of fever dream, because Saturday was like my partner's friend's birthday, so we were out all day. So I was several beers deep at this point, and everyone's like delighted with the tournament and everything's going great. And then suddenly this guy with a zipper tie appears on my timeline. Obviously Jersey Jerry, but like it just going crazy. And I'm like, there's no way that nobody streamed this. Like, surely there was one POV of 8 players. Because on the LA Thieves side, like, you belong to like this, you belong to one of the biggest organizations out there, largely built off the back of content. And then you're talking everything that Bush have done for, like, you know, media powerhouse and all. Yeah. And it turns out they set up a watch party to watch them play. You force this team to game 5, and there's nothing to watch. Like, the whole thing's insane. Like, there'll be, I don't know. I've seen some of the things coming out, like the Challengers players being like, oh, well, we don't this and we don't that. And I've seen things in the past of Challengers players being like, they don't want to leak strats. Brother, to hell with all of that. You have got the opportunity to show yourself to the world at the 75K to start your season off, and you take them to a game 5. And we don't know if you took them to a game 5 for good reasons, bad reasons. Like, at the end of the day, no one is going to get the opportunity to kind of recover that. It's a travesty, really. Shambolic.
Dude, it's just like, I also hate the, like, we didn't want to leak strats. Dude, the game just came out. Nobody really, like, has these super secret strats that everybody's still trying to figure it out, dog. Like, you know that these maps are going to evolve. We don't even know the map set. We don't have an official competitive rule set put out yet, and we're worried about strats coming out. Like, what? Like, no. And the thing that, like, made me a little bit, like, what was so interesting to me is that, like, I heard, you know, I think it was Scrap who said, he's like, I get paid as a competitor, not as a content creator, right? Like, I'm a competitor, not a content creator. But it's like, dude, some of my favorite streamers are just people who are nasty at the game, right? So it's like, if you throw up a scrim or even just like the stream with no comms, all we have is gameplay audio, I'm still elated to see that. I'm going to tune in, I'm going to watch. And it's just furthering your brand and furthering, you know, kind of your identity further even more. That's there, right? And so, you know, I'm right there with you. I understand we're deep into a season, right? Like we're ramping up to Major 1 even. I get it, right? You want to keep some stuff in your bag, right? When you get ready to go on into a bracket, sure, I'm with you. The game just came out 2 weeks ago. You cannot have the God strat that's going to win you a major already. Sorry. I don't believe it.
I will quickly clarify, like, that I think that I haven't actually seen any Bush players say that was the reason.
No, other people did. Other people did. It wasn't necessarily that, but I did see that sentiment.
I've just seen plenty of it in the past for sure. But yeah, and then also Scrap's remark there, like, oh, I love Scrap to death. Guy is a fantastic talent and real comedy, exactly what the league needs. It's one of them. Just put it up for your fans. Like, again, you don't need to put up your face cam. You don't need to put up anything really at all.
Yeah.
You don't even have to read the Twitch chat. Just throw up somebody throw up a POV. And I'm struggling to believe that, like, the coaches, the general managers of, like, obviously no one sat there and thought, are we actually streaming this, like, $75,000 like opportunity? Because again, weirdly, it feels like we're going on a bit of a resurgence for the CDL. I don't know what it is. There's this flavor in the air where everyone is excited for the season that's coming. This was a perfect moment, especially for those challenger players to kind of put themselves in the limelight.
Well, even think about some of the clips that came out from that 75K, right? Like, I mean, Shotzi had that kind of felt like an old school, you know, Halo Ninja melee, where he then also gets the execution, like, and then like we said, it was just like we saw tons of clips all weekend long from that tournament, right? And that only happened, and a lot of them were not from main broadcast. Main broadcast was only able to cover one game at a time where it could, right? So that's going to leave it up to the community to catch the action on all these other games that are going on. We start seeing these clips come out. We start seeing, you know, all these things. We're watching Formal and Dashy when he's not playing. Like, they're watching other games that are going on, providing their, you know, POV, creating more content about it. It's like, you're only going to help grow the game, you know, kind of doing that. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think it's just, you know, as we kind of look, you know, to move forward, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you are a Challengers player like these Telluride Bush players are. Then, like, this is the type of stuff that you kind of need to be thinking about, you know, with your team. You know, I don't know, man. Let's say if it doesn't turn around, do we see a new Telluride Bush roster come on out, right? Are people going to get dropped if they're not down with the content game? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. But I thought this was just a fun thing for us to cover. Well, maybe we'll keep on our way on into it. I know we wanted to talk about the 75K in more depth. I gotta assume we'll probably do another video here pretty quick, talking more about the rosters and seeding, and obviously the 75K and some of those results, because there were some teams who I don't really have a better way to say this anyway. Some of those teams sucked, and I would like to see them get better, but they did not look good for their first foray into Black Ops 7. That is for damn sure.
Anyway, guys, that is everything for us here for week 1. Now, this has been Enigma and Dandro, of course, with this week in challenges. Now, this is something that we intend to do every single week. We love this space. We've really been trying to think about how to do something different to so many of the great voices in the region, and this is what we're aiming to contribute. So catch us every single week putting one of these up on YouTube, as well as putting some socials out there. So Twitter, Instagram, etc. We're going to try and put it pretty much everywhere, but the plan is drop one of these, aim to lift our superstars, and do everything we can to look after what is a wonderful part of the Call of Duty scene. I guess before we sign off, my friend, any last words from you about what we've got coming up ahead?
No, just super excited that we're going to be able to do this. And obviously, we want to be in touch with the community. So if there's stuff you want us to cover, if there's, you know, comments, anything like that, we're pulling stuff up. We're going to be doing Reddit recaps and everything like that. So if you're in the Challengers community, what are you excited about for this coming season? What would you like to hear us talk about? Anything and everything. Tell us we suck. I don't care. Do it. We'll talk about it. But we are here, and I'm excited to be here with you, man, every single week to get this done. So that's been This Week in Challengers, everybody. We'll see you next week.